So what's up, people of the YouTube? Today we have another fucking news, an MMA like discussion, streaming. I just woke up and I put on the phone and I see John Jones is busted for steroids. Look at this. Against Cormier. I saw that fight, the fight actually, and the UFC fight of that, or the event, so to say. And I mean, it's two ways to look at this. Like, yeah, Jon Jones, he lied like a son of a bitch, and he said, "Oh, everybody can do this. Everybody can come from nowhere and do this kind of what you call it." This kind of thing, like you can come back from being a bad boy to being a good MMA fighter and don't take drugs and don't do that shit. So basically now we have proven if this is true. We don't know yet if this is true, but the USA AD, I think is the fucking name of the drug testing company, has actually went out and said that he took steroids in between all of those at that event. So he can't really deny it either. They have confirmed that he has taken that thing, and yeah, so but it all depends. It don't matter if in the end if he gets busted for it or not. It's not clear yet, but it's like a big news. But would it? I'm just wondering. Like, type in the chat if you have questions. I wonder if this actually like.
Are you kidding me?
He landed a kick on DC. He landed one kick in his head.
TMZ has reported that Jon Jones has
was the kick better because he got fucking on steroids?
For steroids in his UFC 214 victory.
Was that really the like? Did that bring him something in that fight? That's always interesting to discuss.
Jones won the July 29th fight, taking the UFC light heavyweight belt.
Well, he might. His stamina was better probably when he took steroids. I guess.
It's the second time Jones has.
But still, he might have landed that kick in the head to DC, and he would have won the fight, even without the fucking steroids.
Jones got socked with a 1-year.
So I guess you can say like
he could be banned for up to 4 years.
it's just stupid mistake by Jon Jones, basically. It's just stupid by him because he was busted before and now he's busted again. So he will probably never come back. I mean, he could fight for other organizations. I think Bellator, for example. And I mean, maybe he can fight for Bellator and get away with it somehow, or go to another. But I think still he's suspended for 4 years from UFC, and that's where he built his trademark. But I feel shitty for DC though. He cried openly after that loss.
Thank you so much for watching.
Like, he actually cried after the fight. You don't see fighters cry a lot, but he actually, it meant too much to him. But I almost knew that he was gonna lose anyway, because the fight meant too much for DC in the end also. And it's not more than fair that they fucking take the UFC title off him and just do that. You can type in chat, what do you think? What do you think Jon Jones has any right in this, or is Jon Jones, we just want to pass him on and never discuss him again? Because I guess he's a good fighter when he's not on steroids also, but we never know since he got busted 2 times. So we can listen to this a bit and see what this guy
of MMA for a decade to come. Now let's fast forward to now. It is August 22nd, 2017, and I am reading the following. Jon Jones failed drug test at UFC 214. I repeat, Jon Jones failed drug test at UFC 214. Let's read this story from TMZ. John Jones has tested positive for steroids in his UFC 214 victory over Daniel Cormier and has been stripped of his title, TMZ Sports has learned. Our sources tell us Jones tested positive
We also haven't had any like
anabolic
confirmation or
fight.
talk with
It's the
John
second
Jones,
time
and
failed
Dana
USADA
White
drug
even
test.
said that he
He
hasn't
tested
spoken
positive
with
for
John
banned
Jones
substance
since
in
like
2016
UFC
or
200, I think.
and it was pulled from
So
the
he
fight
probably done
with
this
Daniel Cormier.
with his
He
agents
got socked
basically.
with a
So
one-year
John
ban
Jones and
before
Dana
around
White
this time
doesn't
he
have
could be
any
banned for
like
up to
communication,
4
he said,
years.
which is fucking strange since he is in the organization
By the way,
also.
there's a line here that says the title now goes back to Cormier, which I'm assuming it does, although the UFC has yet to confirm that. But for those that know anything about UFC and TMZ, they tend to have a cozy relationship over the years. I don't know what to say. From a fan's perspective, from an observer's perspective, it is heartbreaking. It is disappointing. It pisses me the hell off to see somebody with so much talent. A man who also has the potential to positively impact so many lives from his platform. But what does he do? Gets suspended for steroids. Oh, I'm sorry. A sex pill or whatever the hell he called it the first time. Gets a DUI. In the car with 2 women weighing his wife. Hit and run. And now, yet another steroid suspension. Forget USADA for a second, okay? Forget USADA, okay? He failed this test in the state of California, which is one of, if not the toughest athletic commission in the country right now for mixed martial arts.
Wi-Fi, so we have to see if it works still. It seems
This
to
is
be
his second offense. Second offense in terms of PEDs.
Just type in the chat. What do you think,
If I'm
guys?
the
Is
UFC,
this good or is it bad?
I cut bait. I cut him. He ain't going to be able to fight again for at
Just like
least a
your
couple of
opinions
years.
about this.
Maybe
And
3
do you
years,
like
maybe as
Jon
TMZ
Jones
states.
as a fighter?
Perhaps
Do you
4.
like DC more?
So here's a guy that just turned 30 in the prime of his career. Had the whole world in his hands again. Again!
And he fucked it up.
And he just F's it up. Throws it away. I don't know what else to say. It's just, I can't stand it. This guy is the greatest fighter I have ever seen in the sport of mixed martial arts.
We can look at
Maybe the greatest fighter in
Dana
combat.
White also. I think this is good. Dana White has like, he's so fucking shocked in his like it's insane. You can see it in his eyes. He's so shocked. We can listen to Dana White. It's
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm sure I feel the same way every one of you felt when you heard. It's unbelievable.
There's still an administration process, but if this is proven to be true, what will be the process with the title and the belt and that sort of
I'm
thing?
not going to say anything until this whole thing plays out and see how this thing, where we end up. But, yeah, it's unbelievable.
Until the process is done, Dana, could this have come at a worse time? Sort of the eyes of the whole world on the sport.
Yeah, I mean, these never come at a good time. They're always bad, especially with somebody like John Jones, who, you know, wherever you sit in MMA, in my opinion, he's the best to ever do it. He's the best ever. And, you know, that makes it even more unfortunate.
What is?
Have you talked to Cormier?
I did.
What did he say?
Holy shit, this is crazy. He's in Hawaii right now with his family on vacation, and he couldn't believe it either. He felt the same way that I did.
so DC
He's
must
fucking
be
John.
like
Huh?
so
He's
bummed
fucking John.
out by this.
I've not
Like,
spoken.
he must be fucking terrified.
Then how much you think this taints his legacy?
How much what?
How much you think this taints his legacy?
I mean, if this ends up and he gets, you know, and it ends up, you know, getting 2 or 3, that might be the end of his career. So to talk about his legacy, I mean, it's probably the end of his career.
You don't see him coming back.
He might. Well, let me tell you what, it's tough. I mean, how old is John now?
30?
30.
Yeah, 33, 34, trying to make a comeback again. And you look at
The
what could have
fucking
been,
chick
what he
though
could
on
have
the
done.
left is fucking hot.
It's sad.
You've been very patient with him. He's had other chances. Is it personally sort of painful for you this one?
What's the question?
The fact that you've had to be patient for John to come back before.
After I've been checking these
Yeah,
videos out, this would be like an hour,
Yeah,
maybe an
it's tough.
hour
I
discussion
mean, I don't even know what to
stream.
say.
This is
I always
like
know
a
what to say.
discussion. If
I
you
know what
make
to
a
say about
discussion, if you type in the chat, I will answer your questions.
John and I
Like
still
war
haven't
figure
talked
or comedy
since
comment.
200.
But I'll be playing through some of these videos just to hear like
A couple of
kind of
words here and there, but we haven't talked.
Say what it is now.
Depending on what happens with the process and the test procedures and all, like what needs to happen due process, I mean, would you consider doing an interim or something of that nature until it's decided?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Cormier would be the champion. I mean, if the only guy he's ever lost to in his whole career is John Jones. So he was the champ. You know, he's the champion. If Jones isn't.
How long would you wait for results before you make a decision?
I don't know. I mean, how long do you think this thing takes to play out?
You know, again, it varies. I've seen them play out as little as, you know, under a month. I've seen them take, you know, 6 months up to a year. It just depends on the circumstances. Way too early in the game right now. I mean, we're a couple hours into getting notified to know really what all the circumstances are here. So way too early to predict that.
How close were you guys to booking Jones Gustafson for Detroit?
We were talking about Jones fighting at heavyweight.
Against Stipe?
Probably.
In Detroit?
Probably.
I know it's fresh, but obviously Dos Santos is out of the Francis Ngannou fight. You know, he's just finished a full training camp, and if you were going to target Stipe for Detroit, could you perhaps do Stipe versus Francis?
Yeah, no, we have other plans for him right now. He's devastated, this guy, that fight fell through. So we're trying to put something else together. When we get it done, I'll talk. I don't like talking about stuff till it's done. But yeah, we're working on something big for him.
Did you think?
Something big, man. I think they fucking care about DC though. I think they need to care about like DC.
Well, we it's brutal, you know. It's
a fan. I tune in all the time. I know you cover this sport on a very intimate level. Just hearing this news, your first reaction, certainly the disappointment that you feel to hear that this has happened again to John Jones.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Disappointment. You know, this is the type of news that you hate to report. You know, John Jones is the greatest talent I think this sport has ever seen, and we haven't really gotten to see a whole lot of him over the last few years. He was, you know, he failed a drug test for cocaine. Came back in 2015 and was stripped of his title after getting in that hit and run. You know, came back, was supposed to have his redemption story at UFC 200 last year against Daniel Cormier, was pulled from that fight because he tested positive for banned substances. And now here, this was his comeback story. This was John Jones returning to the sport, getting his life together. Everything was good. He still looked great against Daniel Cormier, still in the prime of his career. All systems go, and then we get this news that he has tested positive for a banned substance. TMZ reporting that it's an anabolic steroid. It might be a long, long time before we ever see John Jones fight again if these test results hold up.
And Dana White has denied that they're going to strip the title. That would seem like it's just a matter of time if it's as serious as it sounds. This was a great moment for him at UFC 214. It was great for UFC, which needs these front-facing stars to push forward. But if you look at, we know it's going to be disappointing for Jones, but what does this mean for UFC to have their #1 guy on the pound-for-pound list potentially gone for a very long time, as you said?
I think UFC is going to take it back.
There are not many blows that could be any bigger to the UFC as a brand and the organization as John Jones, you know, failing another drug test and being out for multiple years. You know, as I just mentioned, this guy is the greatest talent we've ever seen. And right now, Conor McGregor has surpassed him in terms of just fan interest, building fights. He is the superstar right now in the UFC. But John Jones, you know, was right behind him, really. You had Ronda Rousey as well, but Rousey has been MIA since her loss to Amanda Nunes at the end of last year. It really was John Jones and Conor McGregor. Those are the two stars of the UFC, and now you're looking at, once again, missing out on John Jones.
Brett, intertwined in all of this saga with John Jones, sadly, is Daniel Cormier, who's had to go along for the ride and had to make so many stops. Have we heard anything from him, or what do we expect to come full circle with Cormier as it applies to this suspension, this failed drug test for John Jones?
Yeah, this news literally just coming out this afternoon. I haven't had a chance to talk to Daniel Cormier. I don't really want to speculate as to how he'll feel about this, but look, you put yourself in this guy's shoes. He wanted to beat the greatest of all time in John Jones. He got 2 opportunities to do so. He came up short in both. But it took a long time to get those fights together because John Jones was having all these issues outside the cage. And now if you're Daniel Cormier, I just don't think he's going to necessarily be celebrating this. Even if John Jones is stripped of the title and he becomes the champion again, what he wanted was an opportunity to beat John Jones on a level playing field, and now you just have all this controversy swirling around what were two of the biggest moments in Daniel Cormier's career. So I will absolutely be interested to see what he has to say about all this.
That's something we can look forward to hearing here as we're at Fight Week, the big fight with Mayweather and McGregor, and it will be Brett Okamoto all over that over the next few days. In the meantime, the latest with John Jones, who has failed a drug test after UFC 214 in Anaheim. Brett Okamoto with the latest as we show you what this is going to mean for Jones. And this is just the latest chapter of a highly disappointing run for the guy who was the gold standard unbeaten fighter. One loss, it wasn't because of anything happened in the ring. There you see what happened in December 2014. It was cocaine, and then the rehab facility, a year suspension here for UFC at one point, testing positive for banned substance, and now this latest failed drug test here after UFC 214.
So let's see, guys, here.
It's
We can
brutal.
find some more.
It's
You can see how it goes. Type in the chat, guys, if you have any regards. Please. I'm gonna get a coffee soon also. Coffee is good. I've seen this. It's devastating for, I think, most DC. John Jones, I don't know if they take his money or not, but they should take his money for this fight. I don't know how much he made. He probably made a couple of $100,000 on this fight or something like that. So they should take the money, they should strive the title, and just, yeah. And he also gets suspended like for 4 years if this is actually the case. So his career, I think, is kind of over in MMA. But on the other hand, he could go to another organization, a smaller one like Bellator. If he goes to Bellator, he can still like get good contracts from them. So I don't know how this suspends if him all over, like all organizations or not, but. Seen this before, guys. It's not new that like MMA fighters get into this steroid shit. I mean, you have Brock Lesnar. He was fighting the other guy in the UFC and he got busted after. So they basically let him fight with the steroids. They knew the test before this event took place. So I don't know how UFC sees the steroids questions in this case. I don't really know their reaction to it. It's like, oh, here we have some reactions too from these guys.
That nigga is done, bro. I'm so upset. And he popped for a steroid too, like an actual steroid. Nigga, you know how much money he done? Man, look, all these, man, they is fucking up, bro. Man, I ain't never, bro. Man, DC gonna kill that nigga. DC gonna murder that nigga. Hey, he ruined DC's life. He ruined his life, bro. He gonna murder that nigga.
Why does he say that all the time? Jesus,
bro, he gonna murder him. Like, literally, like, send somebody to his house and murder this nigga. I would stab that nigga in his sleep.
Oh my gosh. That guy, though, was whack as fuck. I don't know. He must be high on something. Surprise, motherfucker. Also, I think like people are saying this is a fucking setup. Like, seriously, it's setup. It's an independent like organization that tests these fighters so they can't fucking cheat. Why would this be set up? I don't like that. I mean, it's not a setup if it takes fucking steroids. It's just plain stupid. That is what it is. It's not a fucking setup. Yeah, I can agree with that last. Like, is everybody in the UFC on steroids? What do you think? Type in chat if you have any regards or comments on that. Like, do the whole fucking UFC contain of steroids? Or what do we think?
So what we have here is some delicious pork delivered to my doorstep by Butcher Box, and a nice salad. The key thing to notice is that there is no dick pills in this food, and I will not test positive for any steroids by eating this food. Tune into the Believe in Me podcast tomorrow with myself and Luis J. Gomez, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
So let's see if we can find some more about this thing.
I'm so upset at this nigga. Man, listen.
Hey, fight fans, it's Ted Check. So here I am, a YouTube Live. I haven't done a YouTube Live in a while, but I figure this is as good a time as any to do one because there's some serious breaking news going on right now. John Jones, according to the UFC, this is a statement from the UFC. I'm looking at my Edwin.
What's going on? Y'all know what it is. Mr. Consistency.
All right, guys, we have some disappointing news to report. UFC light heavyweight champion John Bones Jones has tested positive for steroids as a result of an in-competition test conducted by USADA, the United States Anti-Doping Association, on Friday, July 28th, after he weighed in for his July 29th bout with Daniel Cormier. Jones went on to knock out Cormier with a head kick in the third round of their evenly contested bout. Now, Jones tested positive for an anabolic steroid called Turnabol. TMZ was the first to report this news item. It was later picked up by ESPN. ESPN has gone on to cite TMZ as the originator of the report, and also Dana White had made statements that he did not comment on the substance for which Jones tested positive, though TMZ had confirmed it was Turnabol. This is the second failed test of Jones's career. He just came back from a one-year suspension for testing positive for anti-estrogenic agents, which are banned by USADA. Now, what is Turnabol, the drug that Jones allegedly tested positive for? I think it should be known that right now this is not 100% confirmation of guilt. Jones is still owed his due process, and I think that's important to note at this time. Now, Turnabol, as comes from isarms.com, is also known as T-ball. It is the dream oral steroid of those wanting to experience the effectiveness of the legendary Dianabol coupled with the safety of Anavar. Those are two popular oral anabolic steroids. Now, why would an athlete take Turnabol? ISARMS goes on to say, compared to the majority of anabolic steroids, Turnabol has one huge advantage. This compound is very hard to detect. It is made possible by the incredible speed of T-ball's excretion from the body, which according to anecdotal evidence takes just 5 days. For this reason, Turnabol is a very convenient steroid for those athletes who are subject to regular doping controls. So this is an oral anabolic steroid taken likely in pill form, and it appears to clear the body very fast, making it enticing for athletes that might consider doping. Well, when you're messing with USADA, there's no doping with USADA. They will find everything. So, going back to the TMZ report, John Jones has tested positive for steroids. He has been notified. UFC has confirmed that he was notified for an in-competition violation. As we know more information, we will certainly report it here.
That's insane. Insane.
It's all over! Just like that! John Jones! The light.
I am here with the new champion of the world. He gave me this to wear, but I will respectfully give it back as he has earned it. So
I feel like you great night. It's a great night. It's a great night. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here.
You said something like inspired me, inspired the world. You too.
No, he knows he was gonna get busted for this later. That's so insane.
And he's back.
Wow.
And he's back. He's back the right way.
Wow. That was brutal.
John, man, way to come back. You know, especially from what's happened the last couple of years, and way to come back to be on top again.
Oh my gosh, man.
Hey, DC, I just want to say, man, you look good tonight. It was just one shot that got you, but keep your head up, man. You're going to go out there and get him again.
Aí, pessoal, no Brasil, ficaram esperando até mais tarde. Olha aí, ó, cinturão é nosso. Obrigado, carinho de todos vocês. Nos vemos em breve. Um beijo aí, galera.
Hey, Chris, I just want to say congrats tonight. It was an awesome fight.
This is too early to be streaming this. I don't think a lot of people are awake actually, but I'm gonna keep this stream for like an half an hour more. I'm gonna try to find some more about this, like you said, and the thing is taken. If we have any news wires, maybe.
What's going on? Y'all know what it is. Mr. Consistency. My consistency will break your neck.
Back to the daily grind. The channel's getting false flagged by triggered trolls, so make sure you subscribe to the new channel. Let's get to the MMA news. Holy shit. John Jones popped dirty for his fight against Daniel Cormier at UFC 214. What? That shit is crazy. You know what that means, right? Daniel Cormier is the fucking greatest fighter of all time. It's real. He's undefeated. Undefeated 13 fights at heavyweight, undefeated at light heavyweight, except for the fucking cheater John Jones. Holy shit. John Jones is a cheater. You heard it here first. Holy fuck. He's been dirty his whole career. Wow. You know, there's been rumors that, okay, when he popped dirty the first time for USADA for banned substances, he said it was because he was taking Blue Rhino dirty dick pills from the cheap gas station, you know, not the main gas stations, you know, like the Arab marts, like the one I go to on the corner. They sell these Blue Rhinos and these Stay Up 24 Hours and Rhino 28s and Black Rhino 29s and Long Night 28s. You know, they sell all them dirty ass dick pills. So John Jones said he was on them dirty dick pills. He wasn't on the real shit, Viagra or whatever the fuck. I mean, I don't use that shit. I'm only 26 years old. But, you know, I know people use that shit. But, I said that like John Jones is that much older than me. But still, you know what I'm saying? There's prescription dick pills for people with erectile dysfunction. You get Viagra and shit. But John Jones went to the gas station and got a blue black rhino, a fucking green rhino, and he popped dirty, he said. He's like, I'm sorry, I took a dick pill. Not only that, I mean, the cocaine wasn't the problem. It was the steroid use. No one cares that he does cocaine. But he got pulled from UFC 200. Now, he didn't get pulled from UFC 214. It's fucked up because he knocked Daniel Cormier out like that and did all that fucking damage to him. All them extra fucking headshots, and he was dirty. Wow. Oh, my God. I need Daniel Cormier to speak. I need to hear the GOAT speak. I don't give a fuck what you got to say. Daniel Cormier, as of right now, is the GOAT. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
he's a fucking
I said that after his loss. I mean, just because he lost to John Jones again doesn't take him out of the top 5 pound for pound. He's still undefeated to everybody in MMA that's not named John Jones. He still beat, like Gustafsson. He beat Gustafsson more dominantly than Jones, and Jones was cheating. Holy shit, Daniel Cormier is the fucking GOAT. Oh, my Lord. You guys know how, but this is more about John Jones here, so let's talk about John Jones. John Jones, he busted dirty for at UFC 214, busted dirty at UFC 200. He was supposed to have everything back together. He wanted his life back. He sounded like he was more mature, and holy crap. I mean, even though he's more mature, I guess he thought he was getting past the system. And where's that fucking dude in the comments that says, I don't care what you say, people are still cheating, they're getting away with it, and I said, dude, USADA's here, they're not getting past USADA. If they're cheating, like Chris Cyborg, if she was cheating and she's been tested this many times by USADA, it would pop up in her test. Now you can say her physiology changed or whatever you want and say it's permanent, which you can say that if you want, but technically today she's not cheating. In her fight, she's not cheating. She's not currently using steroids. She's one time in her career. Now, John Jones, on top of the 2 times that he got caught using steroids, there were rumors going around from other fighters. I mean, reputable fighters. A lot of people, Brandon Schaub, Chael and a lot of people have said this story on Joe Rogan's podcast. I mean, this story is out there. John Jones was hiding from the USADA agents before at the gym, and he had to hide under the ring because he didn't want the USADA agents to test him. So he hid under the ring for hours until they left the ring, trying to avoid the drug test. And it was always just speculation. It was always just hearsay. Like, man, whatever. It's John Jones. You got to give him the champ some respect. But now that he's been caught cheating twice, holy flying, flipping flapjacks. Oh, this shit is crazy. This shit is crazy. John Jones got busted for cheating at UFC 214. Is he going to get stripped of his title? Does it go back to Daniel Cormier? What happens next for Daniel Cormier? Does he get his belt back? Does he go back to being GOAT? Do people still think Daniel Cormier? What do you guys think? That's what I'm interested in. Do you guys think Daniel Cormier is the GOAT now? Do you guys think John Jones is still the GOAT? Do you guys think John Jones is still not a cheater? Do you guys think Demetrius Johnson is the GOAT since he was 2 and he's 1? Do you think, what's going on, man? Fuck, this is crazy. Oh my God, John Jones just got caught cheating again. Oh, we thought he looked that good against Daniel Cormier clean. No, wow. Oh my God, I feel fucking bad for Daniel Cormier a little bit, man. He took not even about the memes and shit. That's fine. I mean, he said he cries after every loss, but he doesn't lose much, so we don't see it that often because he's undefeated in MMA except for to the dirty John Jones. He's never lost to a clean fighter. Daniel Cormier's never tested for fucking PEDs. He's the GOAT as far as I'm concerned. Give that man his fucking belt back. Strip John Jones, and I don't know. The only way that I change my mind on this is if we get rid of USADA. It's either fuck John Jones or it's fuck USADA.
So they should make him
because if we're taking the clean narrative and we want the clean sport and we want everything to be clean and we want to be for whatever reason they brought USADA in, then you got to take all these cheaters out and punish them for cheating. I mean, now if you want to, now this is what I was saying before on the Brock Lesnar video, because a lot of people are interested in seeing Brock Lesnar fight and seeing Brock Lesnar fight John Jones. Even though they both popped dirty for steroids, people will watch that fight in Bellator or wherever. Now, I asked this question before, and now it's I'm going to make it a whole hitter debate, actually. But the question is USADA harming the UFC? We're going to do a debate right after this video. Yep, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to end this right here. John Jones got popped dirty for UFC 214. After UFC 214, we're yet to see what happens. In my opinion, though, Daniel Cormier is the GOAT. He's undefeated at heavyweight, 13 fights. Undefeated at light heavyweight, beat all contenders. Only person he lost to was a dirty John Jones. And John Jones, if you want to go off steroid fighters and dirty fighters, he's the greatest. John Jones is the greatest dirty fighter of all time. He's the G-Dote. So with that being said, it is what it is. Let me hear what the fuck you tell me in the comments, dude. And I'm getting to the debate. Is USADA hurting the UFC? Because if we get rid of USADA, then John Jones is still here. Brock Lesnar's still here. A lot of these fighters are still here. Older fighters could still be fighting. Frank Mir's still here. We could have Frank Mir versus Brock Lesnar at UFC 200. We could have had. I mean, USADA is hurting the UFC, in my opinion, but we're going to get to that in the debate. Let's get it!
It's the police. Open up.
I don't want any balls.
We don't have any balls.
I know. Back to the daily grind. The channel's getting false flagged by triggered trolls, so make sure you subscribe to the new channel. Let's get to the MMA news. Daniel Cormier has broken his silence on John Jones failing his UFC 214 drug test, and this isn't what he really wants to say. This is a prepared statement, but I'll translate it to what he really wants to say. First, let's read the prepared statement. He said, "It's hard to find the words to describe how I'm feeling right now. I'm disappointed to hear the recent news. It's very emotional. We all as athletes are entitled to due process, and I will refrain from saying much more until I know exactly what happened. In my mind, on July 29th, I competed and I lost. I thought Jones was a better man that day. I don't know what to think anymore. I can't believe we are going through all of this again. We will see what happens next. Thank you to all my fans who have supported me during this dark time. I love you all very much." Yeah, that's not what he means. He's just, it's like, this is like somebody won the lottery and they're, you know, but they're not getting their hopes up yet. They're like, okay, man, I'm gonna wait till I get the money. I'm not getting my hopes up. Let me take this lottery ticket and cash it in and make sure I won. He's waiting until they give him the okay and say, yeah, sir, you won. But let's translate it to what he really said. He said, it's hard to find words to describe how I'm feeling right now. What he wants to say is, told you so. I'm feeling like the fucking champion. I'm feeling like the fucking man. I'm feeling like that nigga right now. I'm feeling like the champ in this bitch. I'm feeling like I'll fucking whoop anybody on the motherfucking planet. I'm the GOAT. That's what he's really feeling right now. Let's continue. He said, I'm disappointed to hear the recent news. It's very emotional. What he means to say is, I'm happy as fuck to hear the recent news. All that, I will motherfucking go slap John Jones in the face with a fucking cheeseburger right now. All that shit he was talking, motherfucker gave me a concussion. You know what? I'm happy as fuck right now. I'm very emotional. I don't know if I want to cry tears of joy right now. I want to fucking, baby, get the red panties. Now let's continue. He said, we as athletes are entitled to a due process, and I will refrain from saying much more until I know exactly what happened. What he's saying is, I don't want to look like a jackass if this motherfucking snake finds a way to weasel his way out of this drug test. I know he cheated me, because ain't no way he whooped my ass like that clean. But I'm going to let him, USADA, do the process. I'm going to let USADA go through the process, and officially I'm going to wait till I get my title back. I'm going to wait till this dude gets stripped. I'm going to wait till the title's back on my waist, and then I'm going in on that boy. So be prepared for Daniel Cormier. I can't wait. He said, in my mind, on July 29th, I competed and I lost. I thought John Jones was better than man that night. I don't know what to think anymore. I can't believe we're going through all of this again. We will see what happens next. What he means to say is, in my mind, on July 29th, I competed and I thought I lost. I thought John Jones was the better man, but that's because that motherfucking cheater fucking concussed me. I wasn't thinking straight. If I was thinking straight, I would have grabbed the mic and said, this motherfucker's dirty. He's cheating me. There's no way he just whooped my ass like that clean. But I was concussed and they got me on the spot. And so I thought the better man won. But in my clear mind, I knew he was cheating. Speaking of clear minds, John Jones, are you clear-minded right now, or are you on fucking crack? That's what Daniel Cormier is thinking right now. And he said, thank you to all the fans who have supported me during this dark time. I love you all very much. What he's saying is, to all you fucking clowns, all you fucking trolls, all you Daniel Cormier haters, all you motherfuckers that called me fat, all you bastards that called me the paper champ, All you media outlets that thought Daniel Cormier was done. All you chumps that told Daniel Cormier to retire. All you fucking shitbirds that laughed at me for losing my title and think that I'm not the GOAT for losing to only one person, the greatest fighter of all time. All you motherfuckers, fuck you all, and once this shit's cleared up, I can't wait to see what you gotta say then. I love you all. I love my haters, and I love my fans. What the fuck you tell me? And with that being said, it is what it is. Let the haters know what the fuck you tell me in the comments, dude.
I guess first, can we get your reaction when you got this news?
Obviously, it's brutal. You know, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm sure I feel the same way every one of you felt when you heard. It's unbelievable.
Have you talked to Cormier?
I did.
What did he say?
Holy shit, this is crazy. And he's in Hawaii right now with his family on vacation, and he couldn't believe it either. He felt the same way that I did.
Have you spoken to John?
I have not spoken to John, no.
How much do you think this taints his legacy?
If this ends up and he gets, and it ends up, you know, getting 2 or 3, that might be the end of his career. So to talk about his legacy, I mean, that's probably the end of his career. I mean, how old is John now? 30?
30.
Yeah, 33, 34, trying to make a comeback again. And you look at what could have been and what he could have done, and it's sad.
Would you consider doing an interim or something of that nature until it's decided?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Cormier would be the champion. I mean, the only guy he's ever lost to in his whole career is John Jones. So he was the champ. You know, he's the champion if Jones isn't. We're talking about Jones fighting at heavyweight.
Against Stipe?
Probably.
In Detroit?
Probably. I mean, look at Conor right now. Look at Conor McGregor. Imagine what John Jones could be right now. You know, how big he could be. How many sponsors would he have? Who would he be signed with that, you know, have never signed a mixed martial artist before? And the list goes on and on of what could have been with John Jones.
So guys, I got my coffee here, so we're gonna do this 12 minutes more. It's kind of funny how to see what Cormier says about this whole thing. Drugs are bad.
I'm so upset at this nigga. Man, listen. Listen.
He's saying that word all the
Seems like
time.
there'll be more boxing.
Murder this nigga.
Question is, if there's other boxing opportunities, who does he box?
Canelo, Malignaggi, Triple G.
I saw that fight. It doesn't end well. I saw that fight already.
You see their scuffle today?
Yeah, the guy is a commentator for Showtime, and he's going down and picking fights with Conor down at it's just crazy, madness. But yeah, no, I'd like to see him come back and defend his title in the UFC instead of any boxing opportunities after this. But
I'm sure he comes back to you and says, "I'd like a little more money next time I'm in the cage."
Yeah, I got a feeling we're gonna have that conversation, and I don't mind it. I welcome that conversation. He deserves it.
What about getting his ownership stake like he was talking about after 205?
It's never been done, but anything is possible. There's a lot of people who feel like they're worth this and they're worth that. We know what this kid's worth. You know what I mean?
What is next for Nurmagomedov?
I tried to get him to fight in New York against Tony. He said he couldn't do it. He was hurt. So we switched it and we did the fight with Kevin, and then they came back and said, oh, we're not hurt and we want the fight. We had already moved on. So I don't know. We'll see.
And then just to close this chapter with Daniel Cormier, I don't even know why it was such a big thing in the first place. You know, I beat him fair and square the first time and off of steroids, and I beat him the second time off of steroids. So, you know, it just symbolizes so much, man. I feel complete, and I feel a sense of closure.
För mig känns ångest som bara odefinierat obehag och oro, skuld och dåligt samvete. Det känns som att man har gjort någonting fel och att man snart ska bli påkommen. Många gånger när ångesten är som värst så äter den liksom upp allting inifrån. Min bok Ibland mår jag inte så bra är en självbiografisk bok som handlar om min resa genom psykisk ohälsa. Jag tycker själv att jag blir ett ganska talande exempel på hur många mår. Alltså.
I guess first, can we get your reaction when you got this news?
Obviously, it's brutal. You know, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm sure I feel the same way every one of you felt when you heard. It's unbelievable.
Have you talked to Cormier?
I did.
What did he say?
Holy shit, this is crazy. And he's in Hawaii right now with his family on vacation, and he couldn't believe it either. He felt the same way that I did.
Have you spoken to John?
I have not spoken to John, no.
How much do you think this taints his legacy?
If this ends up and he gets, and it ends up, you know, getting 2 or 3, that might be the end of his career. So to talk about his legacy, I mean, that's probably the end of his career. I mean, how old is John now? 30?
30.
Yeah, 33, 34, trying to make a comeback again. And you look at what could have been and what he could have done, and it's sad.
Would you consider doing an interim or something of that nature until it's decided?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Cormier would be the champion. I mean, the only guy he's ever lost to in his whole career is Jon Jones. So he was the champ. You know, he's the champion if Jones isn't. We're talking about Jones fighting at heavyweight.
Against Stipe?
Probably.
In Detroit?
Probably. I mean, look at Conor right now. Look at Conor McGregor. Imagine what Jon Jones could be right now. You know, how big he could be. How many sponsors would he have? Who would he be signed with that, you know, have never signed a mixed martial artist before? And the list goes on and on of what could have been with Jon Jones.
I'm so upset at this nigga. Man, listen. Man, that nigga is done, bro. I'm so upset. And he popped for a steroid too. Like an actual steroid. Nigga, you know how much money he done. Man, look. All these, man, they is fucking up, bro.
Dumbest nigga I've ever heard of.
Man, Man, I ain't never, bro.
I feel so good down during the fight, babe.
Man, DC gonna kill that nigga. DC gonna murder that nigga. Hey, he ruined DC.
Yeah, the guy is a commentator for Showtime, and he's going down and picking fights with Conor down at it's just crazy, madness. But yeah, no, I'd like to see him come back and defend his title in the UFC instead of any boxing opportunities after this. But
I'm sure he comes back to you and says, I'd like a little more money next time I'm in the cage.
yeah, I got a feeling we're gonna have that conversation, and I don't mind it. I welcome that conversation. He deserves it.
What about getting his ownership stake like he was talking about after 205?
It's never been done, but anything is possible. There's a lot of people who feel like they're worth this and they're worth that. We know what this kid's worth. You know what I mean?
What is next for Nurmagomedov?
I tried to get him to fight in New York against Tony. He said he couldn't do it. He was hurt. So we switched it, and we did the fight with Kevin. And then they came back and said, oh, we're not hurt and we want the fight. We had already moved on. So I don't know. We'll see.
And then just to close this chapter with Daniel Cormier, I don't even know why it was such a big thing in the first place. You know, I beat him fair and square the first time and off of steroids, and I beat him the second time off of steroids. So, you know, it just symbolizes so much, man. I feel complete, and I feel a sense of closure.
See here, guys, if we find anything more, we can look at some more.
Back to the daily grind. The channel's getting false flagged by triggered trolls, so make sure you subscribe to the new channel. Let's get to the MMA news. Holy shit. John Jones popped dirty for his fight against Daniel Cormier at UFC 214. What? That shit is crazy. You know what that means, right? Daniel Cormier is the fucking greatest fighter of all time. It's real. He's undefeated. Undefeated 13 fights at heavyweight.
Even if
undefeated
he's
at
on
light
steroids,
heavyweight, except for
still
the
dropped the head kick to DC's like head.
Holy
so it
shit.
was kind of DC
John
walking
Jones is
into
a
a fucking
cheater.
head kick.
You heard it here first.
Of course, if
Holy
he was on
fuck,
steroids,
he's
he
been
might
dirty
be
his
able
whole
to take
career.
more punishment. And
Wow.
I can see that.
You know,
like,
there's been
side of it.
rumors. Okay, when he popped dirty the first time for USADA for banned substances, he said it was because he was taking Blue Rhino dirty dick pills from the cheap gas station. You know, not the main gas stations. You know, like the Arab Marts, like the one I go to on the corner. They sell these Blue Rhinos and these stay up 24 hours and Rhino 28s and Black Rhino 29s and Long Night 28s. You know, they sell all them dirty ass dick pills. So John Jones said he was on them dirty dick pills. He wasn't on the real shit, Viagra or whatever the fuck. I mean, I don't use that shit. I'm only 26 years old. But, you know, I know people use that shit. But, I said that like John Jones is that much older than me. But still, you know what I'm saying? There's prescription dick pills for people with erectile dysfunction. You get Viagra and shit. But John Jones went to the gas station and got a blue black rhino, a fucking green rhino, and he popped dirty, he said. He's like, I'm sorry, I took a dick pill. Not only that, I mean, the cocaine wasn't the problem. It was the steroid use. No one cares that he does cocaine. But he got pulled from UFC 200. Now, he didn't get pulled from UFC 214. It's fucked up because he knocked Daniel Cormier out like that and did all that fucking damage to him. All them extra fucking headshots, and he was dirty. Wow, oh my God, I need Daniel Cormier to speak. I need to hear the GOAT speak. I don't give a fuck what you got to say. Daniel Cormier, as of right now, is the GOAT. Holy crap. I said that after his loss. I mean, just because he lost to John Jones again doesn't take him out of the top 5 pound for pound. He's still undefeated to everybody in MMA that's not named John Jones. He still beat, like Gustafsson. He beat Gustafsson more dominantly than Jones, and Jones was cheating. Holy shit, Daniel Cormier is the fucking GOAT. Oh my lord, you guys know how, but this is more about John Jones here, so let's talk about John Jones. John Jones, he busted dirty for at UFC 214, busted dirty at UFC 200. He was supposed to have everything back together. He wanted his life back. He was getting, he sounded like he was more mature, and holy crap. I mean, even though he's more mature, I guess he thought he was getting getting past the system. And where's that fucking dude in the comments that says, I don't care what you say, people are still cheating, they're getting away with it, And I said, dude, USADA's here, they're not getting past USADA. If they're cheating, like Chris Cyborg, if she was cheating and she's been tested this many times by USADA, it would pop up in her test. Now you can say her physiology changed or whatever you want and say it's permanent, which you can say that if you want, but technically today she's not cheating. In her fight, she's not cheating. She's not currently using steroids. She's only used them one time in her career. Now, John Jones, on top of the 2 times that he got caught using steroids, there were rumors going around from other fighters. I mean, reputable fighters. A lot of people, Brandon Schaub, Chael Sonnen, a lot of people have said this story on Joe Rogan's podcast. I mean, this story is out there. John Jones was hiding from the USADA agents before at the gym, and he had to hide under the ring because he didn't want the USADA agents to test him. So he hid under the ring for hours until they left the ring, trying to avoid the drug test. And it was always just speculation. It was always just hearsay. Like, man, whatever. It's John Jones. You got to give him the champ some respect. But now that he's been caught cheating twice, holy flying, flipping, flapjacks. Oh, this shit is crazy. This shit is crazy. John Jones got busted for cheating at UFC 214. Is he going to get stripped of his title? Does it go back to Daniel Cormier? What happens next for Daniel Cormier? Does he get his belt back? Does he go back to being GOAT? Do people still think Daniel Cormier? What do you guys think? That's what I'm interested in. Do you guys think Daniel Cormier is the GOAT now? Do you guys think John Jones is still the GOAT? Do you guys think John Jones is still not a cheater? Do you guys think Demetrius Johnson is the GOAT since he was 2 and he's 1? Do you think, what's going on, man? Fuck, this is crazy. Oh my God, John Jones just got caught cheating again. Oh, we thought he looked that good against Daniel Cormier clean. No, wow. Oh my God, I feel fucking bad for Daniel Cormier a little bit, man. He took, not even about the memes and shit. That's fine. I mean, he said he cries after every loss. But he doesn't lose much, so we don't see it that often because he's undefeated in MMA except for to the dirty John Jones. He's never lost to a clean fighter. Daniel Cormier's never tested for fucking PEDs. He's the GOAT as far as I'm concerned. Give that man his fucking belt back. Strip John Jones, and I don't know. The only way that I change my mind on this is if we get rid of USADA. It's either fuck John Jones or it's fuck USADA. Because if we're taking the clean narrative and we want the clean sport and we want everything to be clean and we want to be for whatever reason they brought USADA in, then you got to take all these cheaters out and punish them for cheating. I mean, now if you want to, this is what I was saying before on the Brock Lesnar video, because a lot of people are interested in seeing Brock Lesnar fight and seeing Brock Lesnar fight John Jones. Even though they both popped dirty for steroids, people will watch that fight in Bellator or wherever. Now. Now I asked this question before, and now I'm gonna make it a whole hitter debate actually. But the question is USADA harming the UFC? We're gonna do a debate right after this video. Yep, that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna end this right here. John Jones got popped dirty for UFC 214. After UFC 214, we're yet to see what happens. In my opinion, though, Daniel Cormier is the GOAT. He's undefeated at heavyweight, 13 fights, undefeated at light heavyweight, beat all contenders. Only person he lost to was a dirty John Jones. And John Jones, if you want to go off steroid fighters and dirty fighters, he's the greatest. John Jones is the greatest dirty fighter of all time. He's the G-dote. So with that being said, it is what it is. Let the haters know what the fuck you tell me in the comments, dude. And I'm getting to the debate. Is USADA hurting the UFC? Because if we get rid of USADA, then John Jones is still here. Brock Lesnar's still here. A lot of these fighters are still here. Older fighters could still be fighting. Frank Mir's still here. We could have Frank Mir versus Brock Lesnar at UFC 200. We could have had. I mean, USADA is hurting the UFC in my opinion, but we're going to get to that in the debate. Let's get it.
It's the police. Open up.
I don't want any balls.
We don't have any balls.
I know.
Alright guys, so it was a nice juicy Mayweather McGregor preview show. Things were going swimmingly, and then we decided to check the internet and see that Jon Jones has gotten himself into a bit of trouble. So we thought, well, we need to bring somebody on to discuss this with. We need somebody who can react accordingly. And we thought, you know what? There's only one man for the job. You know him from his work on MMA Weekly. He works for Flow Combat at the moment. He did great work on Fox Sports. And he, most importantly, was part of the legendary Buffet team of 2016. He is none other than Damon Martin, and he comes back on the program. Damon, welcome. Welcome back. How you doing?
Oh, thank you for having me as always, guys. I really appreciate it. I cannot wait to tackle some more buffets in the future.
They'll happen one day. But in the meantime, in the interim, let's tackle this. Jon Jones failed an in-competition drug test relating to his fight against Daniel Cormier at UFC 214 on July 29th. Got a few notes here. We of course have to include the details. Obviously, according to the UFC's official statement, the sample was collected after the official weigh-ins on July 28th. TMZ at the moment, at this present time, have reported that he has been stripped of the title. However, Dana White reportedly told ESPN that that has not been decided yet. Of course, he has not been suspended. Everything is sort of in the provisional stage. And the UFC have officially confirmed this news on their website. TMZ are also reporting that the substance Jones tested positive for was turinabol, an anabolic steroid, and it is, of course, Jones' second failed drug test, the first one being prior to UFC 200, which was also meant to be a fight against Daniel Cormier. Now, Damon, obviously an enormous blow for what has been some very, very tough and troubling few years for Jon Jones. How do you react to this? What is your immediate reaction to this news? I believe you're watching the Tuesday Night Contender series, just chilling, and then this pops into your lap.
Yeah, I mean, what a crazy turn of events. And really, you know, it's unreal. I guess the two words that come to mind are unreal and just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking for everybody involved, especially Daniel Cormier. I mean, the guy goes out there. I thought he won the first two rounds, although it was, you know, I believe it was the first round was really close. But, you know, he definitely won the second round. I scored him winning both rounds, and then he gets head kicked and finished. And, man, what a performance from Jon Jones. And then here we sit a few weeks later, and this news comes out there. I mean, it's just devastating all the way around. And for Jon Jones, of course, I mean, I don't want to convict the guy. You know, again, not the whole story's out there. You know, the TMZ report says it was steroids. Not to say I don't believe them in any stretch of the imagination, but we don't, you know, we haven't heard that from Jon Jones. We haven't heard that from USADA. But assuming that's true, then it's devastating. I mean, listen, turinabol is not something that I would assume. I mean, I'm not an expert necessarily, but I've done enough of these drug testing cases over the years to know that turinabol is not something that just typically slips into a supplement or what I would imagine. And even if it did, I can't imagine USADA is going to say, oh, well, you know, it's okay. You test positive for steroids. We're only going to give you a really small suspension. I just have a hard time believing that. So it's just unreal. I mean, everything Jon Jones has been through, and then to come back and have kind of that crowning moment. And then he did everything right afterwards. I mean, he did everything right afterwards. He paid tribute to Daniel Cormier. He kind of settled the rivalry and said, you know, the guy's a true champion and a real role model for the sport. Did all the right things, started building towards the big mega fight with Brock Lesnar. I mean, he was back on top of the world, and he had done everything right to get there. And then this comes out, and it's just, man, I tell you what, it's like one step forward and 8 steps back for Jon Jones.
And I'm just curious, before we get to our thoughts, are you a little bit surprised by the fact that it's TMZ that released this? As, you know, traditionally TMZ is sort of, I guess for lack of a better term, kind of in bed with the UFC. They have a good relationship. The UFC gives them scoops, they give them exclusives, and it's usually just more, I guess, positive things to do with fight promotion. Are you surprised that they're the first ones reporting this?
No, and listen, I know some of the guys at TMZ. I've worked with them before, especially when I was at Fox, because obviously Fox has a television partnership with TMZ, and they're actually, you know, people, you know, like to slam on TMZ because they're, you know, kind of that tabloid style journalism, but they're actually a bunch of really, really good guys over there. As I said, I dealt with them on a lot of stuff when I was at Fox. They helped me out with some stuff. I helped them out with some stuff. So they are good guys. I would imagine, and again, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, I would imagine this news probably did come from the UFC. You know, typically things like this don't come out. You know, it didn't come from Jon Jones. I know for a fact Daniel Cormier didn't know about it until he was texted the news by a journalist. And I actually just texted DC a little bit ago myself. So I know he didn't know about it. So I got to assume this came directly from the UFC, in that kind of a situation. As far as the steroid, that part of it, that is kind of interesting because that typically will not be released by anybody unless the fighter releases that information. So again, so I can't say for certain how it came, but I have to imagine that they at least confirmed something with the UFC before putting it out there.
And also the strip title thing, which hasn't been confirmed yet. And the journalist that you were mentioning is, of course, Ariel Helwani, who also tweeted that he reached out to DC MMA. He said that he'll provide a statement soon, but he's just processing it right now, and he's shaking, and there's disbelief there. So a big hit for DC, and I believe he's doing a UFC tonight, or some kind of broadcast tonight as well. So interested to see what comes out of that. But there was also a statement made by Jones's team where they said, we're all at a complete loss for words right now. John, his trainers, his nutritionists, and his entire camp have worked tirelessly and meticulously the past 12 months to avoid this exact situation. We are having the samples tested again to determine the validity or source of contamination. John is crushed by the news, and we are doing whatever we can as a team to support him. I'm just wondering what you guys think of that statement, Casper. When you hear that, I'm looking at a couple of things here. I'm looking at the fact that they're obviously looking to get the test done again to determine the validity or source of contamination. When you look at that sentence, does it almost seem like there could be a good chance that they're realizing there's something that went wrong in preparation that may have potentially caused this contamination?
I'm sure that that's probably what they'd be leaning towards, because really, if you are going to test positive for a steroid, or any kind of PED, best case scenario is it got in there somehow accidentally. Now, and I think Damon sort of hit the nail on the head. We don't really know the details yet. I do have some notes here, some facts about what turinabol is and what exactly it does. But yeah, I guess if you're John Jones's team, the plea is, and it's kind of, like with Yoel Romero when he failed his drug test, it was in the protein or the creatine or whatever powder he was using. And so with John Jones, it was in a sex pill. He thought it was Cialis, and instead it was something else. So I guess that's kind of the story they're gonna go with. And I'm not, I don't know John Jones's team. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he was taking steroids on purpose. But yeah, if you're gonna go with anything, you're probably gonna go with the fact that, look, I didn't take it knowingly. And it could mean something. And you know what? Like, it is entirely possible. Again, I'm not a chemist. I'm not an expert on these things. Apparently, turinabol, it was discontinued, I believe, after 1994. And it's sort of strictly a black market underground anabolic steroid. So there are a lot of ways where athletes could sort of, take it, whether they're having designer steroids made for them, or whether it's in something, say, a product that you can buy at GNC or any other shop, and maybe they're putting that in there to increase the effects. I don't know. You would think that with John Jones, he's obviously and if he does have nutritionists, which he obviously does, you would think they would sort of do their due diligence, and you would assume that they have done, and check that everything is up to scratch, especially after what happened at UFC 200. So I think even if it is a case where something had something in it that it shouldn't have had, I think it's going to be very, very hard to sort of prove that, look, it was another accident. I think that any kind of committee would look at it and say, look, it's your job to check that everything is up to scratch and doesn't have any kind of PEDs in it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there is no real excuse for this, no matter whether it's something that was contaminated or not. To me personally, I'm shocked like DC is to see this news. I think, the time of it coming together is just horrible for John. It seemed like he bounced back. Things were going well for him. Everybody was, really big on him. And in a lot of ways, he was, a big thing for the UFC. He's still a young guy and was looking to be their biggest star with a potential fight with Brock Lesnar down the line. And I just, this kind of seems to me, and I don't know, I want to get your thoughts on this, Damon, but to me, it kind of seems like almost the final blow. I mean, okay, just like Casper said, let's say, something was contaminated. That is no excuse. He's got a team of people working tirelessly to make sure this doesn't happen again, and it's happened before. We'll talk about a possible suspension here, but to me, I mean, it's almost becoming comical. I mean, when I saw the response from the fans, and of course, the MMA community can be a little bit critical, but people were just basically, they couldn't believe that it happened again. And I mean, reputation is something that is definitely not going towards John Jones here. He's had a very, very difficult run with a lot of horrible things happening to him. So this popping up, I mean, even if somehow down the track this thing is cleared, which I don't think, we don't know the facts, but it doesn't look likely that this thing will be cleared. But let's say down the track it is cleared, just dealing with this for the next few months, fans are not giving him the benefit of the doubt here, Damon. How are you feeling with this? Does it kind of feel like the final blow here? Are we looking at a potential, is this a career ender for Jon Jones if it goes through?
Well, I mean, like I said, a lot of facts still have to play out. I mean, we know that. So I don't want to completely convict him, but, I mean, it's not looking good. I mean, with everything else that's happened, considering the past suspensions, the hit-and-run accident, and then the positive test last year, which, they proved it was a contaminated, erectile dysfunction drug, all those kind of things. And then he comes back and he has this, tremendous performance, wins by knockout and all those kind of things. I mean, if this comes out to be true and everything plays out the way it's looking like, which is, he tests positive and it is steroids. I mean, will he be able to come back? Maybe, but, I have a hard time believing that USADA is not going to drop the hammer in terms of a suspension. If all this is true, I mean, repeat offenders are supposed to get, an even stiffer penalty. So I'd have a hard time believing that he wouldn't get, he got a year when they proved it was a contaminated erectile dysfunction drug. I have a hard time believing that they wouldn't hit him with a, probably 2 or maybe 3 years suspension. I mean, I'm just spitballing at this point. And if that's the case, I mean, that's not a
drug for his dick that he took actually. Oh my gosh.
It certainly doesn't help his matters coming back. I mean, if he comes back 3 years from now, what kind of a division does he come back to? I mean, Daniel Cormier is 38 going on 39. I can't imagine he's going to be around for 3 more years. Guys like Alexander Gustafsson and Volkan Ozdemir will probably still be around, but I don't know. Like I said, I mean, this may be the nail in the coffin, so to speak, especially if he gets a 3 or potentially even a 4-year suspension. That's not quite a death sentence, but it's pretty close to it.
Yeah, it's insane. And you mentioned, obviously, the UFC's light heavyweight division. And that's the thing. He might be, if it is proven that he's positive, and like you mentioned, so many things have to play out. Really, this news just broke. Who knows what's going to happen? But, I mean, it could be 2 years. It could be 4 years. And if he comes back, he's 30 years old now. If he comes back at 34 years old, think about the UFC and any division or just the landscape in general 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I believe, GSP was still champion. I believe Anderson Silva might have still been champion. If you think about how much has changed and how much Jon Jones may potentially change in 4 years, I mean, if he is what he is at the moment, which a lot of people have, believed him to be the greatest of all time, or if not, at least up there in contention for the greatest of all time, and if he's on the sidelines for 4 years, is he going to be continuing training? Is he still going to be dedicated to martial arts? There were moments where he revealed in that telling interview a year or two ago with Ariel Helwani, where he thought about, I believe it was after the hit and run, where he thought about just walking away from MMA, and he decided not to. And it's just crazy, if he does get a 4-year suspension, what exactly happens to him? And like you mentioned, the division, people were talking about the light heavyweight division sort of being not necessarily dead, but people were talking about how Cormier and Jones, it's the best thing going in the light heavyweight division. Who knows what's going to happen afterwards? Yeah, we have Volkanovski, yes, we have Gustafsson, but if Jon Jones leaves, and like you mentioned, Daniel Cormier potentially leaves shortly afterwards, or goes to heavyweight, it's just nuts. And I want to read a couple of notes we've got here on turinabol. Again, we don't know if this is the actual drug that Jon Jones tested positive for. That's what's being reported, but it was a big part of the East German doping machine between 1974 and 1989, where Olympic athletes were using it, and it was undetectable. Like I mentioned, apparently has not been manufactured since 94. Now it's a black market underground anabolic steroid. And as far as the effects, according to steroid.com, without a question, the effects of oral turinabol will be most valuable to the athlete, and by athlete we mean actually an athlete. The use of oral turinabol will significantly promote muscular endurance. They won't tire out as fast, and their overall rate of recovery should be greatly improved. As the season wanes on, they should also find they have taken less of a beating and are closer to the physical peak they enjoyed at the beginning of the season. This would not occur without the anabolic protective nature. The athlete should also find that his strength is noticeably improved upon, and yeah, he will be stronger, which can directly translate into physical power and speed. So, pretty crazy stuff. Dennis, any other thoughts on this insane out-of-nowhere situation?
Well, it's crazy. And now social media posts from the build-up to the Jon Jones DC fight are sort of popping up to Jon Jones right now. I mean, there was a tweet that he put out July 22nd at 2:53 a.m., I suppose, Australian time, where he posted a photo of himself and says, Daniel says the only reason I defeated him the first time is because I must have been on steroids. Wonder what his excuse will be this time. So a bunch of stuff like that going around the internet, no doubt about it, fans sort of turning it around, reposting it, talking about it. But Damon, I'm curious, from your perspective, I mean, to me, a huge blow for Jon Jones. He's going to lose millions of dollars. You know, it's going to be difficult for him in his personal life. It's going to be hard for him to bounce back from this. You know, obviously, I think he'll come back if everything goes through, if he is convicted, if the proof is there. Again, we don't know. We're still speculating. I think he would come back 34, 35, whatever the age will be. And I think he'll still be able to fight a few more times. But the huge blow here is for the UFC, who has a thin division right now. And Jimmy Manuel losing UFC 214 certainly didn't help that one bit. So I'm just wondering, Damon, when you're looking at this situation, again, we're speculating here, but let's say, you know, it goes to the next step, and just as TMZ reported, Jon Jones is stripped of the title, and, you know, the UFC's trying to figure out what happens next. Damon, I'm just wondering, what makes sense? Who becomes champion? What happens in the interim?
You know, I mean, I think from what I'm hearing, you know, even though the TMZ